Good evening and welcome to the Eastchester Board of Fire Commissioners February meeting. We're coming back from executive session. I'd look for a motion to open the meeting out of executive session.
I make that motion, Mr. Chairman.
Mr. Baker, and a second.
Second it.
Mr. Napolitano. All in favor?
Aye.
Okay, good evening. We've had a pledge allegiance to the flag before. Won't be went into an executive session. I'll go over our list of agenda items. The first thing on the agenda is we have the minutes to adopt from the January 8th Board of Fire Commissioners meeting. We have two sets of minutes. One is the reorganizational meeting, and one is the regular meeting. So if you missed that meeting, you can catch all our meetings on YouTube in case you're so desire. It's on Eastchester FD. So I have two sets of minutes here for the January 8th, 2015. Do I have has everybody got a copy? I guess I emailed them out.
I was good with that.
Any edits besides, one edit I made is I removed I removed John's name from one as attending, which he didn't, so I removed that, so that's one correction I've made. So can I get a motion to adopt both sets of minutes?
Make that motion.
Mr. Baker, and a second?
So I can say it.
I'll second it, Chair.
Okay, Jerry, all in favor?
Aye.
Aye. I say aye, so we will approve the two sets of minutes. This month was a busy month for the board for doing our normal personnel stuff. Everything seems to be in order. I don't have much more to add to that, and I'll just move it to the chief for the chief's report.
Yes, Commissioner. Month of January, total alarms were up to 358, which is a little bit higher than average, but sort of consistent with the time of year. The additional weather problems we incurred actually increases that as well. There was a combination of actual fire-related and EMS-related calls were higher than usual. Mutual aid also was a little bit higher. We actually provided mutual aid on 8 occasions, received it twice ourselves. The harsh weather, of course, has a lot to do with it. It's taken its toll between numerous car accidents and just difficulty getting around. Even the fire apparatus are not immune to this. We did have some damage during that ice storm to one of our pumpers, which is being taken care of by insurance. It is still in service, but it's enough that it'll have to go out of service to get some body work. So they just got caught off guard, but fortunately, I report no injuries due to any of the storms.
And the accident, I think, happened on that morning where it rained and the ground was super cold.
Well, everybody got caught off guard. It was even people, they were on the road, it started to rain and immediately froze. Right. And the roads actually just appeared to be wet when it was actually smooth as glass ice. There was nothing, you couldn't even stand up on it. Right. We're very fortunate that there was nothing more serious. I will say the guys getting called out right away, we had the first alarm that came in was reported as a possible 20-car pileup on across county. Turned out to be 40-plus cars on the hutch right at that same thing. It took quite a while. The captain and engine 27 did get there safely and were on the scene for a couple of hours. It also involved a car fire or two. Soon after, there was another accident, and it so happened, it seems odd that it came out of nowhere first thing in the morning, but engine 31 that actually ended up with the damage, the lieutenant quickly heard what was going on. They actually managed to get their chains mounted before going out, and they're the ones that actually ended up just sliding. It was under control. Thankfully, it was moving very slow, using due caution, as all the operators were that morning, and it just went around, and there was nothing. It was just sit back and hold tight. Fortunately, it was a car that had been left parked because they couldn't get any further. There was nobody in the car, nobody on the sidewalks, and in the end, there's just some body damage, and that's all that happens. We're very fortunate.
That morning, I got an email alert, and if you're a Bronxville resident, I would suggest, if you haven't done it already, go to the Bronxville website and sign up for the Bronxville email alert system. It's particularly good. Eastchester has a similar one. Does Tuckahoe have one as well? If not, sign up for Eastchester's.
We have one
Those,
as well.
and the fire department at Eastchester FD, we have a Twitter account where we'll Twitter news events out. But that morning, I saw the Bronxville alert that the traffic, that there was a lot of icing conditions and accidents, asking people to stay home. And I turned on our little fire scanner and heard the noise, the radio traffic about how many accidents that we had called in. And there were a number of accidents being called in. So those alerts work very well. So people should sign up for their municipal alerts from the villages and the town, and you'll get them, they'll respond to your iPhone or your portable cell phone they'll respond to.
It's also an unusual thing, you realize that it's gonna happen to us as our apparatus are inside. A lot of the cars were on the road. I was surprised that time, early Sunday morning, how many people were traveling. And it was almost instantly, there was no warning. The other problem is, like when our fire apparatus pull out to answer an alarm, they're coming out from inside the garage. They get in a rig, they open the door and they pull out. So they don't realize it until they're already on the pavement. Not like my car's outside. I would have realized as soon as I walked out my front door that everything was a sheet of ice before I got in the car.
Right.
So you get caught off guard. It was just one of those things that, give me 6 inches of snow any day. Ice, there's nothing you can do about it.
Okay. Thank you, Chief. Are you good?
Just a couple of comments.
Okay,
Not
I'm
a
sorry.
lot. No, we got caught on that. I just wanted to make mention, January 23rd, we did see the graduation of our 4 new firefighters. They all did quite well. It was a nice affair that was attended to, and now they continued. I had them on a couple of weeks, straight days, for a little more orientation in-house. Of course, what they learned mostly was how to shovel snow and dig out hydrants, so that wasn't great. But they are now in a group, each assigned to a different group, working a shift, filling that's a much-needed position in the department. Their education continues. They didn't have any break like the last group. They're in the EMT class already 2 weeks into it. So very soon they'll be up to speed where they need to be. Everything's moving well. They seem to be doing very well. So I'll just quickly give a nice congratulations on their graduation. Firefighter Finelli, Firefighter Guido, Firefighter Grogan, and Firefighter Kendall, or probationary firefighters. So we look forward to that. There's been much going on between myself, council, commissioners, personnel, whatever. There was also a last minute, saw it coming, but it was a little bit of a surprise. I just want to wish well Firefighter James Van Slyke, having put in 21 years department, was retired as of January 30th. I want to wish him well in his future, and and have a long retirement. And I'll end with just a mention of our own Reverend Carl Maiello,
So don't pay it.
which had a little
This is
issue himself early in the week.
Excitement this week.
premium.
What?
This is
A
okay.
little excitement this week.
Yeah,
There's no
not-
premium there.
Just want to say, he's home well. I just wish everybody keep him in the thoughts, and as he would be there for us, anybody want to reach out and help him out.
Nope, we're all, Reverend, thank you for all the help, and we're all here wishing you well. John, the treasurer's report? Did anybody see a copy of the treasurer's report here? Or a copy?
Good evening, Commissioners. Treasurer's report for the month of January. Currently, we show a surplus of approximately $340,000. $8,000 of that comes on the revenue side. We have a surplus in January on the revenue, and that was due to an audit we had done in October for workers' comp, and we got back an $8,800 check from PERMA for that. On the expenses, just remind everyone, our expenses are budgeted on a straight line basis, so there's timing issues to our expenses. Some of the issues that we're showing under budget currently is for life insurance for the Local 916, the dental insurance for Local 916. They were scheduled to be paid in January. They're being paid tonight, so there's some timing issues, which we hope, during the year. We don't know when all the expenses will happen, so we just do it on a straight line basis. One other matter, we have the 2014 audit will begin next Monday, the 16th, and it will be for 3 days where they'll verify our numbers for last year and come up with a final number for, final surplus or deficit this year.
And we have the annual February 28th, is that the date for the annual filing?
The AUD report, the
Right.
annual update document, that's being worked on currently. They'll be in Monday, Tuesday, Wednesday, so they'll have a preliminary look at it and, guide us that we have everything in the right line. But that should be filed on time also by the end of February.
And we have no budget transfers tonight,
Too early.
too early.
Early in the year.
Okay. And John has supplied the board electronically into our Google Dropbox about, I think it was about 60-odd pages this time around of the treasurer's report, which concluded with has a bank reconciliation, all the canceled checks, a listing of all the bills that we're paying, all the checks that need to be cut, and year-to-date budget line items and total for the year for budget line items. So we got that from John during the week in a Dropbox. So, and that's available for people. We can email it off after we redact a bunch of it. Anything else, John?
Nothing else.
Well, good. Thank you. Okay, committee
John, I got a question about the bill. Should I ask you now or later?
Sounds good.
All right. So,
They chose to give us all the names. That was prior to giving us all the names.
so the group health life insurance policy,
Group life insurance policy, right?
right? So the premium isn't there, but yeah, we have the dental premium. I see that.
There should be a copy of a monthly bill, if I remember which one I'm looking at, for about $4,900 for 6 months.
No, I just see the letter, but I don't see the premium.
There's a copy of one of their bills with a list of all the, members that are receiving the benefit. I can get you a copy.
Right, but- yeah, but it's-
we did have it.
It's not a premium. The dental is a premium.
Which one do you, did you say dental or life?
There's two here. There's a life insurance and there's the
Correct.
dental. The
Life
dental,
insurance is for 6 months.
the dental includes the premium for MetLife. The life insurance doesn't even state the insurance company.
The one is contractual, they're both contractual.
Both contractual.
But one's contractual, but one is more spelled out in the contract with a dollar certain, and the other is is not dollar certain, if you want to put it that way.
It's a copy of the premium times, the period covered, which is 6 months, times 75%, which is contractual.
Right, it's contractual, but the dollar price is not it doesn't spell out the exact dollar.
No, it changes.
It changes, where the other, the
The dental is a straight $100,000.
correct.
Yeah, that I understand, and I have a copy of the premium, but there's no copy of the premium for the life insurance.
No, they won't have one,
Why wouldn't they?
because it's through the state.
For the life
That-
insurance?
That's a breakdown of the cost per member
Right.
through the group thing, but it's actually through New York State Association of Firefighters. They are told, here's how much it is, what's the monthly premium.
Okay.
So they don't actually,
So where's that premium?
that's what you were just looking at.
It doesn't even have an insurance company name on it. That's what I'm asking. It just says life insurance term.
Okay, well, they gave a printout of the spreadsheet, that's,
All right, I'll work it out with John. But yeah, there's no named insurance company on this premium.
I'm not sure we've ever seen the named insurance thing. Well, I've been here anyway.
We should.
Okay.
it's also, it's, so that actually changes from time to time.
Yeah, I know this, but
What you would like to see is maybe a statement from the state association.
if someone were to perish, what insurance company do I call? I can't tell by this.
Well, you're not calling, this is the...
Well, either way, well, who
Don't it
would
have
call?
something on the return envelope?
No, it's
It's a-
from the union.
We are in a reimbursement position here, reimbursing the union for their insurance. They're the ones who contract and get the insurance. We are just in a reimbursement position to that. So we're not the purchaser of the insurance, we're reimbursing as a third party.
And still, we still need to know who we're reimbursing,
Right.
so,
Well,
and the premium would show that,
We're technically reimbursing Local 916.
which should be reimbursing a premium.
Right.
And that's all I'm asking for, is the premium. Okay. I'm good, John.
Okay, so we have committee reports, and a career firefighter is Mr. Baker and Mr. Laurie. I know Mr. Laurie's personally had a very busy month this month. Mr. Baker, do you have anything for us?
I don't think we have anything about the new union presidents here. We met with him earlier, so maybe we'll set up something like we did, speak with him about setting up a regular meeting, if that's amenable to you. All right, well, after we close for the night, we'll hang out and exchange numbers and everything? Okay. Anthony, you have anything?
Yeah, I just want to say that I went to the graduation ceremony a couple of weeks ago up at the Valhalla Training Center, very impressive, and I congratulated each new firefighter, and I tipped my hat to the chief. He gave his son his diploma, which was a very thoughtful thing. Stephen, I never got a chance to congratulate you on your position as union president, and I also want to extend my my sincere prayers to Reverend Carl Maiello. I know when I was sick, he called me up a few times wishing me well, so I want to wish him well here at this evening's meeting. Carl, I hope you're doing fine and get back on your feet again. As far as the project point, like I said, I've been in and out of the hospital a couple of times this month, so I haven't been around too much, but as soon as I get out of this sling, I'll hopefully get back on track, Mr. Chairman.
Okay. You've been busy communicating as well. Anthony's figured out how much work we do already this month by watching the traffic we send back and forth. The Volunteers Committee report, I stopped by the volunteers meeting this month, and I asked the volunteers if they could produce a list of the members, who are the active duty members they have there. And I made the suggestion that I thought some of the members who are probably appropriate to be putting in their papers for exempt membership should do so. The way there's a legal status called exempt membership that, how these volunteer departments run. And it just seems that we need to get that worked out where we have people we know who the active duty members are. And the group that was there was very cordial, and then we had a nice dialogue. But what I gathered was some of the officers don't live in town anymore. They live out of town, some quite far away. And so it really comes down to, and I was reading New York State town law on how the volunteer operation should be established and set up. And I think we should probably try to get back to having an April meeting where they appoint their board members, and then those board members, whoever their offices are, they amongst themselves, they appoint their officers in April, then they bring it to the board for the board to ratify those appointments, and those appointments should be ratified if they live in district, and they're active, and their status is as an active member. And it's all spelled out in the powers and duties of the Board of a Fire Commissioner in New York State town law. So there's just a few paragraphs on it, but as you read through it, it's just logical why it's that way. And I think we've gone away from that a little bit, so we should try to get back to having an April meeting. The volunteer membership has an April meeting. They appoint their members. The board ratifies those members annually, who are going to be their officers, and those officers report to the chief, and then the chief reports to the board. And things like, then we'd have a better understanding of as to who the volunteer members are. I mean, to put it in context, we're talking about there's probably a handful of active duty volunteers that could respond in a need. And we'd like to get, the board really would like to get us in that direction to do that. I think everybody's welcome. Our goal is to have it function like you would expect to function. So, and part of that is transparency, and that part of that transparency is we get to see the documents like at that meeting, they were trying to do a recruitment drive to get new volunteers, and they were spending money to put out ads and, doing your normal things they do to encourage volunteerism. But at the same time, there's no transparency of how much money they're spending to get to promote volunteerism, who's controlling it, where it is, how much is coming from the benevolent. I got the sense, more than the sense, it was pretty well spelled out, that there was money coming from the benevolent to fund the local, the company itself. We would prefer knowing how much money is coming from the benevolent into the volunteer company, and how is the benevolent sending money to the volunteer company? Because the volunteer company clearly falls under the fire district. People could argue the benevolent doesn't fall under the fire district, which it doesn't. But the volunteer company does, and if it's receiving money from the benevolent, we need to know how much money it's receiving from the benevolent and what's it doing with that money. And under what guidance is it accepting money from the benevolent? You say that's fair, Steve?
Yeah, I'm deferring to you on that because I was in lovely Ohio on military duty, but your analysis of the situation, if you were told, is absolutely correct. The state law that established the benevolent clearly delineates what that money can be used for, and it's solely for the,
Indigent.
for the relief of, I want to get it right, it was the relief of indigent firefighters and their families, and nothing else. So, I'm a little concerned, not worried or anything like that. The benevolent clearly, there's an argument, like you said, that the benevolent's outside of our purview, but the volunteer companies are not, and we may be somehow being put on the hook through actions that are being taken, correct?
Correct, that would be my concern. And that we would simply, and the way to clear this up is just have full transparency. And then there's no guesswork, there's just transparency. One set of checking account statements for a few years, and you're done. And then who the active members are, who's the active members and the volunteers. Not that difficult, I don't think it's that difficult. And we'll try to work together and be as helpful as possible. That's what we're trying to do. So that's my comment on the volunteers. Anybody else is welcome to
Our
comment.
goal is to, have lack of a better term, revitalize them, make them a vital part of the department, is that?
Yes, completely. And there is times, there are times when you have a fire scene, particularly this time of year, when it's very cold out, and what happens, and then this is a public service announcement right now at the same time, which Anthony will support me on completely, when it comes to hydrants, the fire department will respond to a fire call. The first hydrant they come to in front of the house can be frozen. They have to find the nearest hydrant, which happened in the call in December when I was there watching it. They had to find another working hydrant. The snow wasn't that deep in December, it is now. If you have to go hunt around digging through snow looking for hydrants because the one you just tried to attach to is frozen, that's a problem. So people have to clear their hydrants, but at the same time, at that fire scene, when water hits the ground at this time of year, it makes the surface extremely icy. There's no controlling that, and if we had a volunteer group that could put salt down, sand down, help roll up hoses when you're done, these hoses can't stay out in freezing temperature after you stop running the water. That water's going to freeze unless somebody rolls up that hose and gets it back to a warm firehouse for it to dry out. So there is a need to have people do this. It's good public service for young people to do. It's good for their resume building for them to do. If you can get firefighter 1, if you're a young person, you get firefighter 1, it's likely you could get hired somewhere as a firefighter over somebody who doesn't have firefighter 1 if you score well on a test. So it's a good thing for people to do. So that's my, so I think it's a need for us to revitalize the volunteers, and we would like to try to do that. House and apparatus, Mr. Inkledon, how are you on anything there?
Work ongoing on the bid contracts for the Tuckahoe, floor ramp repair replacement project. We did get set back a few weeks. The lead engineer on the project was ill, but he's back at work now. Still hoping that the project is going to go out for bid sometime in March.
Okay, well, good. Budget and finance, not much to add, other than the fact that we're going to have to, between now and June, prove to the state, I think it's the state, how much we do in the way of shared services, and we'll start trying to put something together as a presentation for them. Health and wellness is Mr. Napolitano.
Yeah, we had to cancel our meeting this past Tuesday. I was actually called out of town. I actually got stuck out of town, so we weren't able to have it. But that being said, I understand there's probably some new members there, as well as who's now heading up the health and safety team or committee?
Yeah, right now, it's Frank Greenbaum.
Okay.
Heading it up, so I'll speak to him. You want us to have another meeting with him?
Yeah, I mean, we were supposed to have one this Tuesday, and I had to cancel, but it doesn't sound like everyone was going to be able to make it anyway.
I'll make sure they reach out to you.
Okay, and I'll put something on the calendar. Just have them email me, it'd be best. That way I can send them a meeting request and schedule some.
I'll take care of that. Thank you.
All right.
Steve, if you could get us a list of officers for the different people we're supposed to be communicating with, it might be, okay. Health and wellness, okay. Projects for 2015, I know Mr. Laurie hasn't had much, this month has been a busy month for him, and we haven't had a chance to really get together on our projects that we have to start punching away on, so, Anthony, do you have any, you probably don't have anything, you didn't get a chance, we didn't.
No, I didn't, but-
We didn't get a chance to communicate with your
Okay.
visits to, but we'll get together and start figuring out our little list.
We are starting to collect names of engineering firms that do facilities condition assessment. That's a specialized area that to basically engage a few to give us proposals for the long-term plans that we discussed on that goals list for this year.
Okay. As far as new business for this evening, we have one issue we need to address. We have a firefighter, Christopher Ryan, who, for whatever reason, when he was hired, did not enter the right pension plan, and that of all our 75 employees, this firefighter did not go into the right pension plan. So we're going to lobby an effort to get him in the pension plan. He's supposed to be in like every other firefighter in the firehouse and in our employ. So we're going to try to do this effort. Mr. Baker's going to read the resolution. It will cost the fire district some money to adjust this because we've been underpaying his pension contribution compared to the other firemen. So, but it's, I think, the right thing for us to do, and I think the board feels that way as well. So, Mr. Baker?
Sure. Before I read the resolution, we had discussed this a while ago, and it's not something that, I don't know how he was in the wrong plan, and I'm not casting aspersions on anybody, but it's not something we as a fire district can fix.
Right.
Otherwise, we would do it, and we would have done it a while ago. This requires an act by the legislature in Albany, and the governor to actually sign off on it. So it's, and a law has to be passed to fix this one person, correct?
Correct.
So, that being said, but the board is in favor of it, so, excuse me. I, Commissioner Steve Baker, make a motion to submit a home rule request form to the Senate and Assembly to seek special legislation to correctly move paid firefighter Christopher M. Ryan, whose registration number is OA-8180, 088.
You need to say it.
All right, date of membership 3/1/97, who is a member of the New York State Police and Fire Retirement System from 375I 25-year pension plan to the 384-D 20-year pension plan with the additional provisions of the 384-E, which provides for additional service credits beyond 20 years' service, with all past service costs incurred due to this enactment to be paid by the Eastchester Fire District, and to authorize the chairman, secretary, and legal counsel to take action necessary to obtain special legislation. So I make that motion.
I second it.
And it's seconded by Anthony. Okay, I'll poll the board. Anthony?
Aye.
Stephen?
Aye.
Jerry? And I'll say aye. So that carries.
Then 9 o'clock again.
9 o'clock. So what'll happen now is, we will go back to our state legislator we've been working with, who's been extremely helpful. Mr. Latimer's office has been very helpful processing this. Amy Pauling's office has also been very helpful. The union will make an effort in the same direction. We've been told they'll helpfully push this along, and it'll take some effort from both parties, and this will start the legislative process to get this going, and hopefully they can do it in this legislative session. So this is just the beginning of pushing the ball up the hill. Okay, so that's new business. Other new business tonight? Mechanics position. We have a person, Mary Lou Falcone, who works in the front office, and we haven't done a salary adjustment this year, and the proposal is to give Mary Lou Falcone a 2% salary adjustment, and Doug, I'm not going to say his last name correctly, Maliano, who is a consultant for the Eastchester Fire District, also to change his consulting rate of 2%. So I'd look for a motion to change those compensation for those, for one the consultant and one for the salaried employee. These are both work less than 20 hours a week in their time, and they are essentially in the front office. We have no full-time employees in the front office of the fire department. Everybody is on a part-time basis, and that's how it's been run. So do I have a motion to that? Do I have somebody?
I'll make that motion.
I second it.
Okay, all in favor?
Aye.
Aye.
Okay, Peter. And, okay.
9:03.
All right, so that's that. Volunteers we discussed, Karen proposal, grievances. There was, we have a number of things we knocked down this month as far as just normal business that were all, just personnel matters that got handled, from grievances to all kinds of things that got moved on, that we were hoping to move on. I'm just thinking, what else do we have in the way of new business? Anybody else have any new business on the board that we need to deal with before I move to the next new business item?
No.
Okay. Hydrant discussion, do we have anything to discuss there, or just move on?
Municipal,
Municipal hydrants?
I don't think.
Okay,
Not at this time.
not
okay.
this time.
Okay, Local 916, Mr. Radalone, do you have anything?
Steve Ranelon, President, Local 916. I wasn't here last month, so first I'd like to congratulate Commissioner Laurie on his coming to the board now. Looking forward to working with all of you the coming year. Thank you for moving forward on the Christopher Ryan matter, and hopefully some of the other matters that have been lingering we can get rid of and move on to newer things. And with that, I guess at the end of the year, for both a little unhappy, we've done the right thing to each other. But I do have to ask a request for fundraising. We are having our dinner dance in May, and normally we send out a letter to the local businesses to take out ads in our journal that we give out at the dinner dance. So I'd like your permission to fundraise for this, our dinner dance.
No objections, right? No, that's perfectly fine, Stephen.
Thank you very much.
And thank you for your time. And congratulations on your new position, or your new old position, yes. Volunteers?
No report. Just a comment on the position that you were mentioning about appointment in April, according to whatever it was that you read under Towns and Villages. That appointment is for the position of Deputy Chief, First Assistant, and Second Assistant Deputy Chief. and that started in place in the early 1990s. Before, we used to have an election, and that's what it was. Then they come to find out that the board need to make the appointment, and that's when it started in 90, 91, 92. Those are the only positions that you appoint. Not company officers, presidents, vice
Okay,
presidents.
okay.
That's
But,
that's the only appointment that you make.
Tom, is it still done by an election that the board approves the appointment?
No, we
Recommend.
recommend who the deputy first assistant, second assistant, so on is supposed to be. We propose that to you for your review, and then it goes to the board, and the board makes the appointment at said meeting in April or whatever it is.
but how about something like your treasurer, okay, who doesn't live in the district, I don't think, right?
Who's treasurer?
Your volunteer treasurer. Who, the volunteer treasurer, isn't it Mr. Horn?
Doesn't matter.
But I thought he had to be a member of the company, the fire department,
He's a member of the Waverly Engine and Hose Company.
but he doesn't live in district anymore.
He's been a member for 55 years.
It doesn't matter, he doesn't live here anymore, he lives in
It
Carmel, New
doesn't matter,
York.
he's a life member. He's been in the department for 55 years.
Yeah, we had.
Don't
me-
just throw 'em
we-
away.
We had members that moved to Tom's River, and they
They
came
were
up.
still members.
And they were
came
still
to
members.
Meetings on a somewhat regular basis.
They didn't have to come.
50-year
I
honorary
think
chief of
question
the
is
department.
to be an active volunteer member.
He's an honorary chief,
Well, you're talking about honorary chief.
And he holds
like
that
member
position.
that-
Is he
He's not
exempt?
necessarily an active member.
Is he
he's a
exempt?
life member.
Is he exempt?
no, he's not an exempt member.
Okay,
Then he,
I didn't say exempt. I
just-
said
No,
not
the
active.
Commissioner Napolitano asked me if he's exempt, and I said, no, he's not.
then
Well, there is a point where they should
They
put
need to
in
be
for
exempt.
exempts.
Why does he need to be exempt?
because he can't respond to a fire.
He's an honorary chief.
Doesn't have to respond to a fire.
You could make him an exempt member.
What's
He
that
has
gonna
to
do?
request that. The man
He's-
requests
the
it.
Member has to request to be an exempt member.
but New York State, maybe I read the law wrong, maybe I just happened to read the wrong section, and I will be perfectly honest, I am not up to the nuance of how these volunteer fire departments totally function. But what I read was, in order to be a member of a volunteer fire department, you have to live within the district of that department. You have to live within the boundaries of that department unless the department makes an exception. In our case, I think we made a 1-mile exception. But the Board of Fire Commissioners has the power, the right, and the ability to set rules that say members have to live within this confine. And if you don't live in that confine, you're not a member. Did I miss something?
Yeah, you did. And for all that time, he was a resident of the town of Eastchester.
But he's not now.
Hey, let me ask you a question, and hear me out, I'm not picking on you, Steve. You have a member, let's say, of Local 916. In order to get the position, they have to be a town resident.
Correct.
After his probation is up, he moves to Connecticut, Mayapack, or somewhere else. You don't kick him out of the department, right?
He can move the next day after he becomes, after
That's what I'm
he's,
saying.
but that's
But he's
not,
still doing executive functions for the company.
But they don't
No.
apply by the volunteer laws of the state.
they don't fall under New York State law for volunteer fire companies. New York State law for volunteer fire companies is pretty clear, I think. All we're trying to say as a board is,
You got to remember what the purpose is of volunteer firefighters in New York State. Let me speak, okay? If you are a volunteer firefighter and you are not exempt, the whole idea behind being a volunteer firefighter is to serve your local community, to put out fires, or whatever duties you might have be. So if someone moves out of district, the whole intention of the New York State Volunteers is that you become a volunteer in that new community that you're in, not the old. That's the whole purpose of being a volunteer firefighter in New York State. It's that simple. It's the law. And that's why my question is about exempt. I don't have no disagreement with someone classifying themselves as exempt and then coming to your meetings. That's perfect.
Yeah, but
That's the point of it.
I think one distinction also that we want to make clear is that career firefighters work scheduled shifts.
Right.
They come on, they're there for a 24-hour shift, they report to duty. Volunteers are typically responding to calls as they come in. They live locally so that they can respond. If you live, in Mayapack, it's going to be difficult by the time get the call, come into town, respond, the incident's probably been wrapped up. So that's the rationale behind having volunteers live within the jurisdiction in which they're volunteering.
It's a volunteer fire department, not a social club.
It's the Eastchester Fire District, it's not the volunteer fire department.
Okay,
Okay.
whatever,
It's one district, you have volunteer
Okay.
companies.
Okay, I understand.
associated with the department.
but the whole point of the group and the volunteerism behind that is to support fire suppression of firematics.
Right.
So, how do they support fire suppression of firematics?
They don't. You have members. Firefighting is a young man's occupation.
Oh, yeah, I know that.
Like I said, the man you're questioning is a member for 55 years, which means if he joined at 21, he's 71 years old right now. You're not going to ask him to respond to a call.
We're all in
It's just-
agreement there.
it's-
We're in agreement. That, there's no
I
dispute with
understand
that.
that, but there is no reason why he is still not a member and that he could handle executive functions. You're
There
not
is a
going to kick
reason.
him out.
Yeah, because, look we can't write New York state law.
I understand
New York
what you're
state
saying.
law says you need to be a member of a fire company, you need to live within the district of that fire company. When people move out of the district, they've chose to leave the fire company.
We have the
And they
same-
have an option, they have an option in New York State that after they've worked if they've been a volunteer for 5 years, they are classified, they can apply for exempt status, which means they're basically honorary members in, a different residency other than the district they were volunteering. Eastchester doesn't have a lot of perks that it gives volunteers. In many communities, there are a lot of perks that volunteers get. And it can be tax rebatements, it can be, they have them, what do they call them, the
LSOPs.
LSOPs.
Length of service plans.
They have length of service plans. So this stuff is fairly well regulated. So it's regulated. It's what it is.
We
So,
have the same requirement for our treasurer. John has to live within the towns of Eastchester.
so
So how would you like if he didn't and we made him treasurer?
what I'm saying is you have a treasurer,
He doesn't have to respond in the middle of the night.
okay.
But we're talking about the
Not
treasurer.
respond in the middle.
No, we're talking about the position as treasurer. That's what we're talking about.
Your treasurer is in
treasurer.
Carmel, New York. He's also treasurer of the Benevolent. The Benevolent is funding the volunteer companies, which is also, well, I misheard him when he spoke the other night then.
They're not.
Okay.
The comment that he made, it was just in the looking phases, and we're not looking. There's no money coming from the benevolent, there's no money coming from the volunteers to look at hiring anybody to come in and make any kind of presentation. No money has changed hands, everything is where it's supposed to be.
Okay. Oh, I think what we'll do, just so we don't have this debate back and forth, and it's not our time, it's painful. What we'll do is we will research New York state law, we'll get an opinion we'll lay out what the residency requirements are for volunteers, and then we'll make sure we're living within those residency requirements. And if you could supply us a list of who all your current volunteers are, and their current addresses, we can narrow it down pretty quickly. And we don't have to have a debate. It's not a debate. So, next item,
Board comments? or
board
people?
comments. Anybody have any board member comments?
Not that I've already made.
Nope. The only comment I'll have is I would thank the DPW departments of Bronxville, Eastchester, and Tuckahoe for doing a phenomenal job clearing the streets, and makes it easier for our membership to get around and the residents. It's, for all the snow, I think they've done an outstanding job completely. Payment of bills, you gentlemen had a chance to review all the bills.
I do. I have no problem with the bills, but I abstain on voting for this. This is the bill to pay for me for going to that commissioner's class.
Well, you gave a certificate, so you'd be okay. I got you, I understand.
That's good.
That's fine.
That's good, though, Anthony.
That's good, Anthony. Anthony went to his class. New fire commissioners are mandated by law to attend a course offered by the New York State Controller's Office, and Anthony went and got his certificate and took the time on a Saturday probably to go do it.
And that's excellent evidence that he actually is reading through the bills.
And he pulled out the right
He was
book.
buried way down in the bottom.
And I got the certificate, Commissioner, to prove I passed.
Okay,
This is what I'm talking about, so share it with everybody.
yep, okay. Here's that. Okay, so, just one warrant tonight, John? One set of warrants? Okay. Opportunity to public address the board. Do you have any, Tom, I see you over there. You have anything for us? Okay. Oh, okay.
Hi, Commissioners, Anthony Fiore, 3 Midland Place, Tuckahoe. I just got a question about the volunteer role here. Something seems confusing to me. Now, from this December 15th meeting, you told the volunteers, we can't drill, use the apparatus, can't touch anything. But now, on the other hand, you want us to go on calls. So can we go on calls or cannot go on calls?
No,
Which is it?
we need to know, the chief will decide whether you guys go on calls or not.
Okay, so as of right now, no.
Well, as of right now, we don't know who the volunteers are. I don't know.
Because the way you're saying, you want us to be support.
We want to support the volunteers, but we'd like to know who the volunteers are and get us a list of who they are,
Okay.
and then we can go from there. We just want to get a list of who your volunteers are, how many members we're talking about, and then the chief can work with the training officer to put together,
Okay.
a plan to how to re-engage the volunteers.
Because the way you're saying there was a fire a few weeks ago.
I'm saying there was a fire a few
Yeah.
weeks ago.
You want
That would be
volunteers.
ideal if we had trained volunteers to do scene support. We're not talking about interior attack or, that type of thing. We're talking about we need volunteers for scene support. And to train volunteers for scene support, I think would be a good thing. The other board members can opine in, but I think it would be a good thing to have volunteers for scene support.
I don't know, if you want to try to get volunteers here, they want to fight fires. They're not here to, not going to want to be support.
Well, I think that's going to be one of the issues.
Let me speak. This
Yeah.
has been an ongoing issue for some years. And part of the problem going way back, I think it was Lou Russo's DC, was there was an issue with staying up to date on training. The requirements, it's a problem throughout the country. The
Yeah, it is.
requirements have gotten crazy, and it gets to be impossible to maintain the proper certification or level of training to be considered full interior. It was very difficult. You might have had 1 or 2 that were doing it. The goal was to try and get the guys back on track. At the minimum, scene support. There's a lot to do outside the building, a lot of work that needs to be
Outside
done.
stuff,
Putting up
yep.
ladders, connecting hose lines. The need is there. Without the extra burden of maintaining what has become, a lot of required time. I mean, the career guys, they're doing excess of 100 hours every year, refresher, while on job. That's a lot to ask of people when, look, we can maintain scene support level much easier. It's a job that needs to be done because, half of the on-duty guys, the career guys, half of them are outside stretching line. It's not everybody's inside. It's all part of the job. Even when we went back to that, it was 1 or 2 here or there showing up. Like Captain Tween was doing an excellent job. By your schedule, 3 guys show up, 4 guys show up. And, okay, if I could get those 4 guys to come to a fire, like that night with the ice, trying to stretch another 300 feet to a hydrant, that would have been a home run. This is what we need.
Chief, but you know
I
what?
just wanted to clear that.
I could see Anthony's point, but we can't, just because certain people don't get what they want, but Captain Tween was given the drills. I went to a couple this past summer too, down in Chester Heights in the firehouse. We had it on the field. And I think the last time I was there, I think we had about 6 guys there. That's what you want. The guys came out. It was summer months. Yes, I understand it was summer months. They came out. Give the guys the training. Give them the incentive.
Well, you just said we're doing it.
But
We're doing it.
no, Commissioner Winters took that away. He stopped that at the last meeting.
No, well, some might have, might have been put on hold just recently because
Yeah,
there's a lot of
but I'm just
questions.
saying.
So they just
I
put
mean,
on hold.
We could have drills
Commissioner.
inside during the winter months, I understand that, but he just took that away, I think it
don't know
was
if
back
it
in
was
October or November.
Hang on a second.
put on hold.
So,
No.
let me ask a question. If it was taken away,
Yeah.
who was it taken away from?
From the volunteers,
What are their names?
from every individual?
Yeah.
I can't give you every individual, I'll get you a list, but.
That's simple.
But
If you're
Captain-
saying we took something away, give me the names of the people we took it away. It's that simple, black and white.
You didn't take it away from the individual, you took
You
it,
just told us we took it away, then give us the names.
Commissioner Winters stopped it in November. He said that,
no.
he said that you weren't gonna do no more drills until you got the list of names and that. Am I correct, Anthony? That he said
we
that?
said we
But
need-
we were doing drills with Captain Tween with no problem. The men were still going out drilling.
Yes, we had a
That's
few.
what
Captain
I'm not
Tween
arguing
has the
that
list.
point.
Okay, do
Chief?
we have a list in our RMS of
Captain
who's drilling?
Tween, definitely, he keeps a record of who's there.
No, that-
take
he took-
attendance.
Wait, he took attendance of who showed up for the drills.
Right.
Exactly.
We want to know who the members of the volunteer
Okay, we could get you
companies are.
that list.
Yeah, because
How
we're
many-
paying, we, the board, the people are paying for workers' compensation insurance, somebody gets hurt. It's a matter of accountability, and then, once we get all that on board, then we can go back to,
Okay, we'll get you the names.
And then, out of those names, which ones took their physicals?
You stopped that, you stopped that too. You said no more physicals, no more IDs, no more drills
Because
until we get
never
the
had
list.
them. We never had them.
No, but, I mean, that was passed, look in the minutes, that was passed back, I think it was
Nice.
October and November. It was passed, no more physical, I think I asked for that. I think we were up in the Waverly Firehouse when I asked on that, and that's what we were told. Go ahead, Tom.
So you,
We need to clarify a list. I have old lists that we're trying to maintain. We have to distinguish between active as an active responder.
Yes.
Not just, see, part of the problem is, you're talking about, Dave. Dave's been very active administratively. But from our point of view, he's not necessarily an active volunteer
hey,
firefighter.
gentlemen, I'll just
This
tell
is
you what.
where we have the
We
problem.
don't have time to debate this going on
Okay,
endlessly.
but that's the
Alls we
problem.
want is a list of who the active volunteers are. Provide us a list, who they are, where they live, and who we're dealing with. We don't have time as a board to sit here and debate who these folks are. Just get us a list and we'll move on with life. What is there to know?
The thing to know is 255 should have a record of this.
We don't.
Wait a second, you gotta. Every time a member joins, he fills out an application. He becomes a member of the department, it goes to headquarters.
Okay.
Every time we have a drill, there's a slip that's filled out with our name, number, and badge number. I don't understand how you don't have it. It should be turned into headquarters.
The guy you had mentioned
Nine guys,
before,
8 guys.
Mr. Horn joined this department 55 years ago.
Absolutely.
How do I know from when he joined 55 years ago, between him and where we are today, who on that list of, 75, 100 names is active members today? Give me the list. You guys are going around in circles for nowhere, and you're burning up our time for no reason.
He's a member, that's it. He's on the list. He's one of the members. You want a list, I get you a list.
A list, is that
I
simple?
got names right back here on a list with all their phone numbers. I don't have their addresses, but there's about 45 names on the list. That's what you want. Chief will get it tomorrow morning.
Give us a list and tell me who is active duty. If the person is 78 years old,
Listen,
we should
there's
know
no
that.
active duty, no inactive duty. You're a member, you're a member.
Do I expect Mr. Horn to show up at a fire?
Do you?
Yeah.
I don't. I think the
There
man
you
did
go.
his time. Doesn't mean he can't be
got
an
it.
active member of the department. Not active firefighter, but an active member holding other positions within the ranks.
A member could be exempt and still be part of your group.
I don't know if that's 100%. And any,
If the
any
man's,
firefighter
Gentlemen-
also that takes
gentlemen, we're moving
firefighter
on.
one like you stated, and he comes out of the academy up in Valhalla, is also interior certified. So you'd have an interior for a firefighter once he finishes firefighter one.
And he maintains at least so many hours of training per year.
right.
If he finishes that, he's an interior firefighter for at least a year.
Let's got one more. It's nothing to do with fire. Eastchester Town Board meeting they had their meeting at 100 Columbus Tuesday night. They rotated around and they videotaped it. Now, something in the future for guys, if you think of doing the same thing. Go somewhere, Tuckahoe, or go into Eastchester, someplace they did that 100 kilometers, or anywhere. Just to give people around that they can't come here to go somewhere else.
We actually had some internal discussion about that, and the biggest value we have is if we can broadcast live, and the only place to broadcast live is Eastchester Town Hall
That was it.
and the field. Which field is that? The
Handle field?
Handle Field.
Yeah. I just want to bring that up because they videotaped that at 100 Columbus. They're in the little community room there. It was a good turnout. It was like about 25 people there. It was pretty packed.
And this is where?
100 Columbus, Marble Hall, in Tuckahoe. They had their regular town board
That
meeting.
was Tuesday night.
Tuesday night, yeah. Yeah, so you see the replay when they do it again on their channel.
Okay.
Okay.
All right, thanks.
Thanks.
Okay, I have the bills to pay. I'm inclined just to leave the union bill in there, just because I know what it is. Do you know what I'm saying? Does anybody want, Jerry wants it out, I just
No, I'm
assume
not
leave
saying
in.
want it out. I want a premium attached to it.
Stephen, if we pay this insurance bill tonight, would you be able to get us the backup paperwork for it, for the insurance?
The bill we get from the state?
Yeah.
Sure. I don't know what form we get the bill in, whatever we get, I will get to you.
Is that good?
Yeah, I mean, I just need, we got the one from MetLife, that's all.
Whatever form we get, I'll forward it to you.
Okay.
No problem. That's for the insurance, that's for the insurance.
Yeah, for life insurance. Okay. So I'd make a motion, we pay the bills for the month. In this case, it's $196,653.46. I'll say it again, $196,653 spot 46. So I'll make a motion, we pay this bill. Do I hear a second?
I'll second it.
Mr. Baker? Okay. You
With
want
the
to abstain?
exception of my bill.
I adopt a friendly amendment, with the exception of Anthony's.
So you can just say abstain.
Just abstain.
Just for that one, I'll abstain. All the rest, I'll agree.
Aye.
Aye.
Okay, and I'll say aye, so we'll pass the bills. And I think that's it for tonight's meeting. If I think of anything else, I think we're basically good. And, yep, we're all good. I think we should think about having sometime in the spring, we used to do house inspections.
Yeah.
I think we should do a house inspection, then a dinner afterwards. In the past, it was the volunteer companies went out and had the dinner. I think we should do it slightly different. I think we should have, and we can talk about it later or whenever, but sometime maybe in May, we do a house inspection of the houses, and then we invite the front office staff, the board. This is actually one thing in town law. They let fire districts have a dinner once a year under town law for inspection.
The exorbitant salary that we're.
The exorbitant dollars we spend amongst ourselves here. And maybe invite the union captains or union members or whatever, some representative group of the department.
As long as that covers both departments, I mean,
Yeah,
the volunteer
There would
section
usually
also.
be a representative.
we should just figure out how to do something around May, I think, because that's when the weather's good, and they do spring clean. They used to be, years ago, the house membership would have a pretty good push on in the springtime, so the houses would be in pretty decent shape, and then they do an inspection. And I think that was kind of how it was done, and
The
it's been,
inspection, the house inspection was done on the Monday, and then the Tuesday, the men had the parade, the fire inspection parade. That's what, the house inspection was done on Monday, the parade was done on Tuesday, and then each company, and then as it dwindled down, we used to have a little get-together either in the firehouse or in the local restaurants.
When's the last time there was a parade? When's the last time there was that parade?
The last, I don't know, Tom, you remember the date we had the last parade?
97, somewhere right there?
Somewhere around that. And then the board gave each company $250 to have a little,
Well, that was way before that.
yeah, but the board used to give each company $250 to have a little refreshments afterwards.
yeah. My thought was to have the board more focus on each of the houses, so the board can get themselves into the houses, walk around the houses, see what's there, the north end house to see what's there, We had a
That's what I
punch
just
list
said. They
from,
used to do it on the Monday
that we're supposed to be
before the
knocking down, to make sure that's kind of been knocked down, just to see the general condition of the houses, and then go somewhere to socialize for some little bit. And that would be the idea.
I guess we'll discuss it next month, or, sounds like, it's not a bad idea, the law
Discuss
covers
in
it.
between, we'll start
Yeah.
looking at things.
Okay, so, motion to close the meeting? Anybody with comments?
Second it?
Motion.
Okay, you make the motion, he seconds it, all in favor?
Aye.
Thank you, and have a good month, folks.